Welcome everyone to this week's Life Conversations with a Twist. I'm so honored to have these amazing three women. This is my first podcast having three people. I think I've done two, but three is new for me. But this is super fun, and I love that you're all together and your energy is great. So I have Caitlyn, Hannah, and Aliah on. I'm going to let you guys each introduce yourselves and a little bit about your background. And this is going to be the best, juiciest conversation, and I cannot wait to have it. I wish I had a glass of wine or mimosa.
Can't wait to be part of it. So I'm Hannah Takajo, and I'm a special ed teacher. I've been teaching for 10 plus years in the public school system. And
I am Aliah Singh. I have three kids, 6, 4, and 1. And I have been in education for over 10 years. I started out working in after-school programming and have been a school counselor for over 10 years now, working mostly at the high school level and a little bit with middle school students too.
And I'm Caitlyn Severin. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have been licensed, I think, math, since 2013, so for 12 years. And I work with teens and tweens in high school, middle school, in private practice, and in the public education system. And we are cultivating roots collectively.
yes, collectively. We're so happy to be here.
So excited to have you. And it was so funny because I was like, okay, tell me how old your kids are. How old are your tweens? And you guys are like, yeah, none of us have tweens or teens. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hannah and I have little kids, but also it's interesting how much crossover there can be in terms of how you work and support with tweens and teens and how that connects with,
Honestly,
raising little kids.
They're just kind of bigger.
Yeah.
The conversations are just a little bit more complex. Sometimes not even that much more.
Yeah.
There's this movement right now. There's a specific name for it, but it's basically the concept of taking a maternity leave when your kids are teenagers.
Oh, I don't know.
So yeah, I don't think it's a big movement, but it's definitely the idea of when your kids are really small, they need so much from you. And then when they're teens, they need so much from you, but in a completely different way.
Mm-hmm.
And
interesting. Wait, what's the movement called?
I don't know.
I totally know what you're talking about because this has been my mindset, especially because I own a business. I own 2 businesses and I have a podcast and I'm super busy. And I'm at a point right now in my career that I'm I need to stop and slow down because I have a daughter going into high school. I have a son going into middle school. And I know what a crucial time this is. So for me, that was one of my whys of why I need to slow down, why I need to move my office home so I can be there to pick them up and, from school and be a part of their lives. And so this is gonna be such a good conversation because literally this is my age in my life that I'm about to enter.
And the 13 to 15 is pure transportation, taking them
yes
everywhere.
They'll all be at 3 different schools and 3 different soccer schedules. And yes, it's
it's a lot.
Okay, so you guys all specialize obviously in different things. How did this company and your brand and all that come together? There's got to been some kind of moment that was ding ding ding.
Sure.
So a couple of years ago, I just was noticing, so I work at a high school as a school counselor, and I was just getting a lot of phone calls from angsty parents, really struggling with how to support their kids. And this was, kind of right after the worst of the pandemic, kids were returning to school and they just didn't know how to support their kids in this transition. And I was I don't have enough time in my day to provide this level of support to parents. I'm mostly focused on their kids. I support the student and the family, but I just I couldn't help them in the way that I wanted to. And at the same time, I had little kids and I was a consumer on Instagram of all of these platforms, right? Big Little Feelings, Feeding Littles, Taking Care of Babies, all of these platforms and courses that I bought to help me like teach my kid how to sleep, potty train, like baby led weaning. Yeah. Like Hannah and I bought literally between us like 10 courses, and they were helpful.
I mean, honestly, they really were so valuable. Like I still use some of the language from Big Little Feelings. Like I really used all of those tools.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, is there anything like this for parents of tweens and teens? And I looked, and there really wasn't a resource like that out there for them. So I was like, okay, like what could I do? Maybe summer break is coming up. Could I like do something for parents over the summer? And then I started talking to Hannah about it. And then I was like, oh, okay, we should bring Caitlyn in because Caitlyn has
Thank God.
the therapist lens. And so then,
Thank God.
yeah, thank God. And so then we just kind of started brainstorming, and over the next couple of months, we came up with various iterations of what this could be, and it turned into Cultivate Teen Roots, which is an online platform for parents and caregivers of tweens and teens to help support them in navigating the adolescent years, to really help them feel empowered to be the best parent they can be so that they can show up for their child. And our first product offering is an online course called Making Adolescence. So that launched the end of March. And then since then, we've added some other offerings to our platform. But that's kind of like where the seed started.
And then this is more like for somebody to basically take it, like buy the course, take it to help them. Is there like an online community, like once you've gotten through it, have like help?
Yeah. So we spent about a year and a half researching, writing, editing, all of that, creating our course. So it's very science backed. And then we had like professional videography and created all of these worksheets and handouts. So it's really interactive and reflective and focused on the parents' experience. A lot of times people think that our business is targeted for teens and tweens, but it's really the parent is the consumer. And
you could do a lot of the activities alongside your teen, but it's really for the parent.
Yeah, and in both a growth perspective and a support perspective. And then we have an online Facebook community. And then we've gotten a lot of feedback from parents that they want to be together and they want to build their like smaller community.
Yeah.
And so something that we're now launching is doing the course in small groups. And so we have one in Petaluma coming up if people wanted to join the waitlist for that. It'll probably be in like the start of next year, so starting in January, and it'll be over the course of 5 months where we'll go through it together. So
each session would focus on one of our modules, and
and
more interactive,
and it'll be small. So we're gonna cap it at 10 people, and there'll be wine and snacks, and it'll be fun. And you'll also get access to our online course, so you can self-pace and have everything that we offer, but you'll get that community in-person experience, and then we're gonna also offer those on Zoom as well.
But we found that parents really want to talk to each other and share the communication with one another and experience.
It's like that whole thing in class where you don't want to raise your hand because you feel like you're going to look dumb, right? But like everybody has the same question. I feel like that is what's going on with parenting too, especially in this day and age when things are so different from when we grew up. There's all of these things that didn't exist, like, a pandemic and social media and technology. And it's like parents are going through all of these things and feel really alone and isolated and don't know how to maybe talk about it or say anything, but everybody else is feeling the same way.
I love that you take something like so scary for a parent, because it's scary. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get through this together? But I love that you've like created almost like fun and community around it to make it not be so scary.
One of our biggest taglines is facts over fear, because we noticed when we were creating the course and researching it, all of the books that we were reading were so fear-based. Like I truly would laugh out loud sometimes reading them or watching, like, did you ever watch the Netflix show Adolescence?
No.
Do you know what it is? It's like,
I could imagine.
terrifying, right? And there's these scenes where like these kids are in this middle school, and I work in a middle school, and they're like throwing things at the teacher and like
not how
overturning TVs that are in the classroom. Like it's so like we truly love teenagers. Like we are so passionate about them. We think they're the best ever. We think they're so funny and creative and cool and interesting. And we really wanted to bring this fresh lens that the teenage years are like incredible and fun and a point of immense connection opportunity. And
that goes through adulthood.
yeah.
Okay, I have so many questions. Seriously, we could probably talk all day.
Well, we don't have anything else, so
We're available.
I have till 12.
I
I don't even know where to start. Because I also want to tie this into like some of the stuff that I feel that I'm dealing with. And I think there's so many, it's like you guys know, every family's different. Every family dynamic is different. And then you bring in a teenager. My teenager, like I said, she lives with her dad part-time, and then she lives with me. That is where a lot of the struggles I think happen, is that not only is she like going through teenager, but then like she's at her dad's and she has a little bit different rules and has a different lifestyle. And then when she's with me, like I'm remarried, so there's a stepdad, and then there's a 4-year-old that's creating chaos around the house. And so it's like there's also that dynamic that happens. Like what are some of your guys's like key advices or things that you've seen that like help with that, the parent that has a child that goes to 2 different homes? Because I'm sure you probably deal with it more often than not.
100%. And I came from a family of divorce, so I had the experience of being a child that my rules were very different at my mom's house than at my dad's house. Like could not be more opposite. Yeah. So I think that one of the core concepts in our course is having all the boundaries and rules be very value-based. And that's a long-term, like everything that you're trying to teach your teenager is for their long-term development, right?
Yeah.
And coming at like the reason why you can't control what's happening at dad's house, right? You can try, you can have co-parenting classes, you can do all the things, but at the end of the day, you can't control those rules. And so making sure that when you're talking to your kid about whatever boundaries you have or rules that you have in your house, the value statement is at the core. So when it's like, a curfew, let's say, or you can give me an example if you want to, if it's not a curfew, but something that is tough.
I think for me, like my biggest thing is like she loves her dad. Like her dad is like, the best thing on earth. And then you get around me and it's like, and she never like wants to hang out with me. And everyone's like, you have such a cool mom. Like you don't know the impact that she's making in the world and like the good things. Like she just sees me as this like rule maker, strict rules. I think that's one of the biggest things that we struggle with.
The idea within itself that you have boundaries and rules is a challenge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember my mom told me as an adult, but that she said that it was her goal to never talk poorly about my dad, and that she had a therapist tell her, like, let your kids figure out who each of their parents is and develop their own understanding of their parents, because they will see that with time. And so it's really hard in those teen years. But that's the biggest thing that you can do, right? Is like, you are sure of your parenting style, and you know that whatever boundaries you have because you love your kid and you want to keep her safe and healthy and have her be resilient and have good outcomes. And so being confident in that and in yourself, and knowing that not now, she's not going to know it now at 14, but in the future, like she will see that, and you're playing the long game.
And we have a whole piece on that in our course about how it's one of our like tips or strategies, how it's not personal. Like it's so hard in parenting because a lot feels really personal. And it's so hard not to internalize it because it feels that way, especially when they're teenagers and they're like these mini adults almost. And
when they're little and they say it, they're so cute and
right.
And back around.
I'm my 4-year-old.
And so going back to what Caitlyn was saying about like the value-based boundaries, I think when you can communicate to your daughter about whatever the rule is or like why things are the way they are and connect it to like we have boundaries in our house because we care about your safety, or because we want to make sure that you are prepared for school, like, right, like you have to on Sundays have all of your things together before Monday morning because we want to make sure you're prepared for school, because it's important that you are taking your academics seriously. That's important to us. So connecting it to that value helps teenagers have at least more understanding and context around it versus just seeing it as like something they have to do.
Also,
That's so good. It's so funny you said the thing about how later in life they see who their parents are, because my husband struggled with my stepdaughter through the teenage years of like, uh, we struggle with the mom, and she always took mom's side. And now she has said, like, now I see what you guys were going through, and I see my mom for who she is now that she's 19, you know?
way higher chance of them being able to be that reflective if you stay out of their relationship with the other parent.
I do. Yeah. I mean, I really try to just be like,
So hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
it's really hard. Yeah. But I've always said, like, you discipline her, you like, I'm here to support you, but like, you're the lead driver on that. And like, that's what we try to work on now together, is like letting me parent my kids and let him stay out, because when it gets mushy like that, that's where I feel like it gets so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's blended families are tough stuff sometimes.
Okay, so I know the number one question to all my listeners who have girl teenagers: how do we deal with hormones and all of their lovely attitudes?
Well, we have
Yeah.
our module on hormones is called honing in on hormones, like just like trying to understand them. And it's interesting in teen brain development. Hormones are definitely a part of it, but neurotransmitters and like actual brain development, this I can go all into the neuroscience of it, but like pruning and myelination, which basically means like if you think about a crazy garden growing all over the place, when you're a little kid, you're like, do I like this? Do I like this? Like you're trying out all these things. And then as you enter the teenage years, our brains prune down to our special interests, and they basically get rid of content in our brain that we don't need anymore so that we can have space to become experts or learn more. And that's what's happening in the teen brain, which is why, and at the same time, your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed, and your amygdala, which is your emotional side, is like raging, it's ready to go. So hormones are a huge part of it, but I think they often get blamed for a lot of the neuroscience that's happening in the brain.
it's fascinating.
Mhm. I actually was just listening to Mel Robbins' podcast about brain development, and they were just talking about hormones and how like it releases, like when your brain is changing, it releases the different hormones. It was very fascinating. I'm like, oh, perfect timing.
But yeah, I mean, I think like we have a saying, and Aliah loves to use it, and I think it's so good, but don't engage, let them rage, which is basically like when they are in that
Say it to my 4-year-old too. I do.
Yeah.
they're in that space, like that is not the time to have the discussion. It's not the time to have the deep chat. It's not the time to take it personal. It is
It's not the time to tell them to like calm down. It's not that big of a deal,
Yeah.
right?
but it could be the time to model for them, like it seems like you need some space right now, and I'm going to give that space to you, and when you're ready to talk, I'm here, my door is open, and you can come chat with me, but I don't want to be, I'm not going to be talked to.
And that's face to face, but give them space.
We can talk about that too. But yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to like accept their bad behavior, right? Like if they're calling you names or being disrespectful or slamming doors, like that's
The
not
behavior is
acceptable,
not-
the
yeah.
behavior, but you can still allow them the space to do what they need to do in that moment when they're dysregulated. And then when they're in a calmer state, you can work on the repair piece. And in our course, we talk about how to get yourself to a regulated space and to how to model that for your child.
I was gonna say, when she stomps up the stairs, slams the door, I hate you. You just let him be, and then talk about it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
You let them be, and you just continually say things like,
I'm right here when you're ready.
yeah, like, and you said the boundary too, like, so
Yeah.
let's say she's saying, I hate you, you say like, you know, I get that you're really upset right now. That's hurtful and it hurts my feelings. And I'm not going to talk to you like that. But when you're ready to talk to me in a kind way, I'm here.
I literally said that to my 6-year-old in the car.
Yeah,
He's
right? Like,
you're disgusting, mom. I was like, I don't like that language, but if you want to talk to me in a nicer
Yeah.
tone, I'm
and you just stay calm as a cucumber, right? Like
Yeah.
even though you're
which is
upset,
hard.
even though you're not, but you just have that outward appearance of like, that's not an okay way to talk to me. But when you're ready to talk to me in a kind way, I'm here for you.
Mhm.
Because when you're in that state,
Yeah.
there's not going to be any productive kind of work that.
happening.
Yeah.
You mean like kind of like a marriage, right? Like
There's that.
the same thing.
It's very similar.
Relationships have a lot of similarities across the gamut.
Yes.
Too, when your teenager's acting that way, a lot of times it can push your buttons and trigger you, right? And you kind of get into this state of like, well, like I'm going to show you, like you can't talk to me that way. Like that is so
I'm the boss.
disrespectful,
Yeah.
right? And you want to assert your control and your power as the parent, and that actually does the opposite of what you want to do, which is building that trust and connection. And so, again, giving them the space to express their emotions and feelings in a respectful way allows room for then the repair and the connection building, which is what you really want.
Mhm.
And they can't control what's going on because, like Caitlyn said, their prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of like their decision making and like their impulse control, like that is not fully developed yet. Whereas their amygdala, the emotion center, is all over the place. So like they don't necessarily have the skills to be able to manage their emotional
And I think it's
responses.
easy to think that they do because
Right.
they're long.
Sometimes they do.
You know, like
Sometimes they do. So it's like
you're not looking at your toddler. It's different, you know.
I think it can be frustrating for them that they don't too.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think the common piece that's missed when talking about teenagers is because this is in development, sometimes like Hannah said, they do, right? Like there's times where they can handle a really stressful or overwhelming situation or a hormone flush and they can handle it. And then there's times where they can't. And so for them, it can be really confusing and oftentimes lead to a lot of shame. And like for us too, I reacted to something this morning and I'm like upset about it, but I'm upset with my reaction. I wish that I could have acted differently
I'm
because
so curious what
I know. I
happened.
can't believe you didn't tell us.
I did.
Okay, you did.
No, yeah.
So did it to
You did.
but like I sometimes can react in that way. And so when I don't, then I feel shame around it because it's like, why can't I just be better? And our teens, as the therapist who gets talked to about these reactions, that happens all the time where they're like, why didn't I know I yelled at my mom and I called her a bitch and said all these horrible things and I don't know why I did that. And the shame makes it really hard for them to come back and repair. And that's where the parent has to be the parent and be that repair.
That's so good. I just think about all the situations. Will my daughter really like me someday? Like do you,
100%. And your daughter really likes you now. She really does.
I think she just doesn't want to admit that she does.
She doesn't want to admit it, but I promise you, as a therapist who all the teenagers talk to, you are the one that she wants approval and love from the most.
Mhm.
And you are safe. And that is why she pushes you because you're a safe space. She wouldn't push you if she thought that you weren't going to unconditionally love her.
Mhm.
It's just the truth.
How
Right?
like I have so many thoughts. In their stage of where they are now, like she literally wants to hibernate in her room and she wants to be on her phone. And then I feel a lot of guilt of like, I'm not spending enough time with her. I like go in her room. I felt like I was like Anna the other day, like,
Yeah.
do you want to build a snowman? You know, because I'm like, just hang out with me, please. Do you continue to push it? Do you let them come to you? Like, how do you, I just feel bad that I'm like not present.
For band.
It sure is. I mean, I think one of the best things is like finding some sort of common interest, even if you're not interested in it, right? Like, even if you have to find the joy in the fact that it's connection building.
Yeah.
My nephew, who's a tween, is obsessed with capybaras, and my whole family went to San Jose, which is incredibly out of the way for all of this. Like, my sister lives in Southern California. We live in Petaluma. We all went to San Jose. People got a hotel for a night just so that we could all see capybaras. And he stood there for, I'm not kidding, 2 hours to see these capybaras. And we were all like, hell yeah, capybaras. Like,
I don't even know what that is.
I didn't know what it
it's
was
it's
either.
a giant hamster, basically. It's like a giant
Look it up.
rabbit.
It's bizarre.
But like you just lean into whatever it is that they are interested in and that they are willing to let you into. So if that is watching 65 hours of Love Island because that's what they're into, you
I
get
mean,
on.
yeah, I'm here for that.
Daughter, 'cause it
But is
is,
that okay? Like, I feel like because we do connect on like watching a show together or
I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely
Like
okay.
you find whatever it is. If they're into skateboarding, you now like skateboarding. If they are into cooking, you're gonna eat their gross food that they made when they don't know
If they
how
like
the
to get
recipe.
their nails done, then I guess you're shelling out cash to still gonna make
my
your
daughter doesn't. I'm like, please, you want to go get a pedicure with me? She's like, I don't like getting a pedicure.
daughter what to do.
Yeah.
She's really into animals and she's into baking. So like she has been, we've really much connected on baking and those kinds of things. She loves to go shopping or, you know, like yesterday I was like, and my husband's like, can you go pick up our son from preschool? I was like, no, I told my daughter I would take her to Old Navy and Target. I gotta do it.
Yeah.
You
And
stroll there
even
that
saying to her, like, we have this protected time once a week and you get to pick the activity, whatever it is that you want to do.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
And then there's no pressure. It's like once a week, right? That's not like, oh, I have to hang out with my mom every single day. And then she knows when it is, right? It's not like you feeling like you have to like, do you want to build a snowman? Like on her door. It's in the calendar. And she gets to choose, so she gets some control.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know this conversation is going to come at social media because thankfully my daughter's not super into it right now, knock on wood. She just got Instagram and that was like because her dad didn't want her to, which I was okay with. Um, how do you monitor? I mean, you guys probably see it all, right? And we know how much social media is affecting their mental health and all of those things. Like, what advice do you have for parents around social media and phones?
Well, we're about to come out with a free guide on our website.
On how to communicate
Yeah.
around this.
If you go on our website, it's the second thing down to sign up for the email list, and it should be
Okay.
out in a couple weeks. So
But
Definitely.
I mean, our stance on technology and social media is first and foremost, there's no right or wrong answer. Like it's dependent on your family and your
And
child.
really if the teen.
Mhm.
But I think it's important to have boundaries around what that is going to look like in your home. Those boundaries just might be different. And I think Caitlyn has like a great analogy that we like to share about how kids don't just get into a car and drive, right? Like there are steps that they have to take before getting behind a vehicle. And so social media and technology is kind of the same. It's something that they need to be responsible about and need to have the skills to manage. And we kind of just like give them this phone and say, here, and they have free range and access to this thing that can be really scary or put them in situations that they aren't ready for. And so like driving where you have to, you know, do driver's ed and then you get your permit and then there's behind the wheel training. We think it's important that as parents, there's some education around cell phones and technology and social media, so that you're helping your child build the skills to manage their own
So
use.
that they can be independent with it.
Mhm.
And our guide is going to be different than, you know, the popular ones that are out there. That's like no phones until this specific age and
Sign
no social
contract.
media. But it's way more focused because our whole platform is focused on the communication concept. So
Mhm.
like how strategies for how to communicate with your kid around
Around.
social media, around the boundaries in your home around it, because it's easy to be experts or like providers and say this is what you should do because that's what people want, right? People want
A black
tell
and
me what
white.
to do.
Yeah.
Put it in this box overnight.
And they said it was okay, so this is how it's going to be. Yeah.
But the reality is that that doesn't work. I mean, look at the purity pledge, right? Like we all know that doesn't work. We all know the just say no and dare campaign and that kind of stuff didn't work. Like research has shown that when we force kids into a contract to
Or
not
an
do
all or
something,
nothing approach.
yeah,
Yeah.
that it's not realistic and that it actually promotes secrecy and potentially dangerous outcomes because what you're saying is like, you cannot have this until X, Y, and Z. And then they're going to have it, and it's going to be secret, and they're not going to be talking to you about it. And so,
and then they don't have the skills around how to use it.
Yeah. And so
correctly.
there, obviously there is a time where you have to say like, you can't have it till this age or whatever, but we believe that parents know their kids best. And so we're not here to tell you what is best for your family, but we are here to give you tips and advice on how to communicate with your kid around it so that you can have open conversations and build relationship and build trust, and also have a kid who knows what they're getting and how to handle it, because they're going to become an adult that's going to have a phone.
So we have a free guide coming out in the next couple weeks. So once you sign up for our email list, you'll get the guide.
Okay, I'll have to. Yeah, I'm curious. I don't think mine are on there doing the wrong things because my son is 11, but you know, he's a YouTube cruiser, you know, like he's always like looking for things. But like for me, and I just need to get better. I think right now the summer's here and like I'm at work and I'm like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
But I think when school starts, like really limiting screen time, because I hate when you look over and like, and I'm guilty of it too. Like we're all sitting on our phones.
It's so icky,
Really?
right?
It's
Or like
gross. I
you
think
see another table and the whole family's on their phones, and you're like not judgmental because you've been there too, but also just like, this is just like sad.
You're like, this isn't what I want for myself.
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of it too is modeling, right? Like taking a look at your own phone use and social media use and saying like, well, if I want this for them, then I need to be modeling that myself.
So true.
And I feel like it's hard too, especially because like with our work,
Yeah.
we're constantly on our phones for work. And so it's this mixed.
Yeah. I know my son's like, get off the phone. I'm like, I'm literally checking emails. You know what I mean? Or I'm like meal planning, or I'm ordering groceries, or like.
I know. I definitely try to do as much on my computer as I can.
Yeah.
Because there's just less opportunity for scrolling on your computer, you know, like
Yeah.
you open it up, you go on your emails, and then you're not gonna like
Good point.
go onto Instagram on your computer,
Right.
or you're ordering groceries and you're gonna finish that, you're gonna put it away, and then
Yeah.
it's gonna be done. Versus when you're on your phone, it's very easy to click over to a social media app and just scroll for a minute.
Mhm.
So I do think that that's one way to kind of model that.
Mhm. As high school counselors, and you're in now, obviously, like you are talking to these teens all the time. What is the biggest thing or advice that you could give a parent that you're seeing these teens need from their parents? Like, I'm sure there's conversations like, I wish I had more of this at home, or there's like, what do you see most common, and like, what advice do you have for that parent that might have a child that's like needing these things?
I think the general theme that I see is students talk a lot about wanting their parents to just listen versus responding with solutions or advice or judgment, or opinions. Like I will have a student come in and talk to me about a difficult situation and they're like, I tried to talk to my parent about it and they just like shut me down. Or they said, well, like, of course this happened because you did X, Y, and Z. And then that makes them feel like they can't go to their parent and talk about things. And it's natural as parents, like we go into this mode of wanting to help our child and we want to fix things and we think we know best. And sometimes we do know best, right? But like that's not helpful in the moment.
Mhm.
And so what you want to do as a parent is you want to give your child the space to share and validate what you're hearing. So if your child is sharing about like they're feeling like they're having a really hard time in one of their classes and they didn't do well on their math test, instead of saying like, well, you should have studied more, or did you go ask your teacher for help, you could just reflect back to them what you're hearing. Like, it sounds like you're having a really hard time in your math class right now. And you could even ask them, like, do you want support in like brainstorming solutions, or do you just want to kind of like talk about what's going on? I think that's the thing
too in our adult lives. It's like you just want to share something and you don't necessarily need to hear something back. And it's similar.
My friend, she just said that we just had this conversation about it. Like when a friend's like, I need to tell you something. And you're like, as a friend, you're like, do you want me to just listen or do you want me to respond?
Totally, that's exactly.
And then you're opening the like the option, like, okay, no, I just need you to listen. So then as a listener, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna listen and I'm not gonna respond.
It helps you know
What your goal is.
Yeah.
And from a neuroscience perspective, with teen brain development, narration helps integrate their own experience, right? So when they're telling you their story, and then you're saying, like, let's say that they're complaining about a friend, and you're sitting there like, of course it got dramatic with this friend. Like, what do you expect? It always gets dramatic with this friend. And you guys know that every time you're together, you feel like this. And like, why do you keep hanging out then? Right? Like, that's the instinct. But instead of saying that, you're like, it sounds like it was really hard. It sounds like it was really frustrating. What I'm hearing from you is, and like literally just saying exactly what they said back
Yeah, if
to
you don't
them.
know what to say, just repeating what they said.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because it helps them, and it sounds like boring, or that they're going to be annoyed by that, or they're going to be like, that's what I just said. But
No,
truly,
no.
that is like 70%
They're gonna be like,
of my job. Right? And when they hear you say it,
They're
what
like,
they've
"Oh."
said, it's truly helping their brain wiring integrate like their own feeling. And when their feeling feels validated, it's easier to move through it.
Mm. You brought up something that made me think it wasn't in my question but bank, but now I'm going to approach it. When you, especially girls, like I know we keep talking about girls, and I think this goes in general, but friendships. And I think as I navigate through middle school and into high school, friendship groups change. I'm seeing it a lot now that there's so much drama, and then you bring in the facts of like they've been friends forever, and so now the moms are friends forever, and now they are struggling together and they're fighting, and then it like creates this like tension with the moms. And like, what advice do you have to navigate those lovely relationships with their friends?
I think one of the main things is like giving them space to figure it out for
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
And that can be really awkward. I have clients who's like the moms are best friends and they have trips planned, and then the girls get in a fight, and it's so hard. And I think that talking to your kid about like, look, I'm still going to be friends with your friend's mom. And that doesn't mean that you have to do this, or this, and I got your back. Like, me being friends with the mom is not me abandoning you or like feeling like I'm not there for you. But this is my relationship, and relationships are important to me. And I also hear and like understand what you're going through too. And
Mhm.
really letting the teens.
I keep telling because my daughter hasn't struggled with friends so much because she's like very low key. She's not like a popular girl. She has like a couple friends that she hangs out with, and like that's for now. We'll see what this year brings. But my stepdaughter definitely battled with friendships through high school. And I always say, like, find the one person, like, they might not be the popular one, but they're the ones that like see you. They're the ones that make you feel good when you're around them. And also understanding that, like, sometimes your best friends don't come until later in life. Like, I'm friends with my girlfriend from high school, but like sometimes that's like very rare that you're still friends with somebody from high school. It's like you in college or work or, those kinds of things.
It's so hard for them to really take that in
Yeah.
that moment in time, because so much of what they're experiencing is this deep longing for connection and to fit in. And the importance of peers during this time of development is huge, because they're going through this process of individuation and separation, where they are starting to kind of like figure out, who am I
Mhm.
separate from my family? Who am I like in the world? And part of that is like, who am I amongst my peers? And so it's hard when you feel like you don't fit in. I feel like so many students, especially this last year, have come in talking just about like feeling as though they don't have that person. Like, they have a group of friends to hang out with, but they don't necessarily feel connected to any of them. And it's really difficult. And as an adult, we have the life experience to be able to look back and be like, okay, well, I know this is a moment and it's going to pass. But for them, when it's like the first time they're going through something like this, and they don't have that point of reference to call back to. And so it can be really, really difficult.
So good. Such a great perspective. The other thing too that came to mind is now with, like you were saying, like they're at this age where they're figuring out who they are as a person. So, they're like, we're going to shave our head off, or we think we're now a girl and we were a boy. Like all these things are how they dress are different. Like as a parent, what advice do you have to, I always tell my husband, I'm like, we just need to let them be who they are. Like
You roll with that.
if my son wants to wear this shirt that's like 10 times too small for him, just let him.
Yes.
Mel Robbins, right? Let them.
Let them. Let them.
Because that's not the point. Like,
Yeah.
clothes, the style,
It's gonna change.
yeah,
Totally.
or potentially the pronouns, whatever. It's like the point is that they want to be seen and they want to feel understood. And so you accepting whatever form they're in that moment and rolling with the changes gives them that freedom to figure out who they truly are.
They're going to be who they are, whether or not you agree with it.
Yeah.
So,
So you're either going to be in the loop or you're going to be out of the loop.
Mm-hmm. I also have some friends if we talk about boys, that I have a couple friends who their sons are just like they're just mean. They're like mean kids. And as a mom, you're like trying to teach them like be kind, like be nice to others, but they just are unkind people. How do you navigate that?
Scary
Yeah.
too. It's really scary.
yeah. That one, that's tough, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. And I do feel like it's a different kind of challenge to navigate.
I can talk to how I handle it in therapy. Like I've had boys that watch YouTubers that are like honestly dangerous, right? Like people that are spewing out like the male agenda, conversations and like women are supposed to be submissive and all of these like really scary things. And obviously in those moments I want to be like, don't ever watch that, like I want to freak out. But I think the best thing to do in those situations is like get so curious and like what do you like about them? What draws you into them? Like why are you interested in them? And really trying to help them. It's the same thing as the narration piece in terms of the brain integration. It's like helping them get curious about why. Did you just start following this YouTuber because he showed up on your algorithm and now you're down the rabbit hole and just watching this stuff, or helping them like really develop those critical thinking skills? Because when you tell them not to, or when you shame it, you're just going to drive them down it even more. And that is so hard because I definitely want to shame it and be like, that is the stupidest like crap I've ever seen.
Why are you watching this?
One of our other catchphrases is curiosity over criticism.
And you handled this really well when you had a student that drew a swastika on a desk.
Oh yeah, I always like to make it like a learning opportunity. So I had a kid who drew a hateful sign, and so I just asked him what he knew about it, and
like in a non-judgmental way.
And he's 16,
and other people were like,
I will never talk to that kid again. Like I can't believe you drew that.
He just had so much shame around it, and like really withdrew and became super defensive. But then Hannah was like very warm.
Let's talk about it. Like, what do you know about the Holocaust? What do you want to know about it? Let's look up some videos about it. We were reading Night, so or we have access to Night in our library, so I got him the book Night, and he was my TA, and so I had him read it during the class period, and I kind of used it as like a opportunity to learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a very specific.
Oh, right. Like they don't know, they think it's cool and it's funny and it's all these things, but they don't really understand the history behind some of these things.
It's the boy version of trying to fit in.
Yeah,
right?
They don't
to feel accepted.
And they're like, if they're on YouTube or they're playing video games, like the truth of the matter is that they are hearing the N-word and the F slur. They're hearing all of this stuff, and it's and they're testing. It's the same thing as doing the pink hair or shaving their head or dyeing their hair yellow or whatever it is. I'm testing this out and exploring who I am, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to become this like harmful, hateful person. But it does need to be addressed, because we can't just like, oh, you go on YouTube and watch whatever, no big deal. But we want them, at the end of the day, it's about what is the value. We want your value to be that you are a critical thinker who leads with like love and kindness. And so how you develop that is not from shame, but from helping them really think through why they're drawn to certain things and if that thing is helping them or if that thing is causing them and other people harm.
So good. Okay, my last big like topic that I feel like teenagers are dealing with is sex and how um let's talk about sex. How we navigate. Thankfully, my daughter's not into dating at the moment. You know, I know that's probably going to change very soon, but like how do you navigate that relationship or your conversations with your kids about it? Like how do you approach that as a parent?
Well, abstinence, obviously.
Yeah. I'm like, it's so much drama. Why would you want to do that?
You're gonna get chlamydia and die.
Well, I think it's similar to kind of the drug conversation, right? Like they're naturally curious and they're, whether or not you directly address it, like they're going to do what they want to do. And so what we at Cultivating Roots like to tell parents is you want to, we talk about this in our boundaries module, but you want to provide so you want to provide boundaries around it, right? You don't want to just be like, hey, like it's fine for you to go do X, Y, and Z. You want to say like, this is, you know, this is our family value. You want to provide information, facts, education
Over fear.
right? And then you also want to provide an open line of communication, which we connect to harm reduction, because we know that teenagers are going to make decisions that might put them in unsafe situations. So, for example, that might look like if you do have sex, or if you do, you know, find yourself in a situation, yeah, like you can come talk to me about it and we can talk to your doctor about birth control. Or if you need a condom, like you can come ask me for a condom. Or if your condom breaks, we can go get plan B, right? Like we
don't flush condoms down the toilet.
Yeah,
That's an important one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or don't leave it in the garbage if you have a dog.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just even like I remember like when my daughter first got her period, she had her period when she was 10. Poor thing. And like just like teaching them, like you don't think about it as a parent, but like you need to like roll it up and then like kind of like you can't just like throw it willy-nilly, and you certainly cannot just throw it in your closet and let it rot.
No.
That's
No,
would
no.
be really smelly.
So yeah, I mean, we think that it's just super important to make sure that your teenagers, so this can apply to like, you know, drugs and alcohol too, right? That there's a boundary, that there's information and
A
education.
values-based boundary.
There's always that open line of communication and this harm reduction piece, so that they know if they're in trouble, that or they need something to help keep them safe, that you are that person that they can go to.
And I think like it's crucial now more than ever because of the internet. So there's this false sense of like, I don't need to talk to my parents because I can research whatever. And
I can ask ChatGPT.
I can watch a TikTok.
But then trust me, these teens get into some precarious situations from learning about sex on TikTok. And I've had to call the CDC, or not the CDC, poison control. So, you know, you don't want them learning from TikTok. You want them learning from you, or at least from a trusted adult, or at least knowing that they can talk to you, you know?
How do you set the boundaries around, like, I know some parents are like, oh, you know, they want to be like overly involved, like almost like best friends and like want to know all those things. And like, how do you divide that relationship with like being a mom and, you know, like creating that zone? I mean, I think obviously everyone's different. Everyone's relationships are different, but.
One thing that is really effective is externalizing. And so, like, you know, we joked about watching Love Island with your teenager, but that might be appropriate because talking about something that is outside of their personal experience and like really getting curious with them about what do you think about, you know, these two people hooking up after knowing each other for only a few days, or like
interesting.
If you watch a show together and there's sex in it, you can talk about it. That's like about the characters. Yeah, it's almost like playing with your little kid. And, you know, if you have a 4-year-old and their parents are going through a divorce and you guys are playing dolls and they might be like, I'm going to go to mommy's house. And then you'd be like, oh, what is it like at mom? You know, like it's a way it's their way of being able to safely talk about it.
Interesting.
When it's not them personally.
thoughts on that
Right.
personally, or even talking about their friends, like if they're willing to open up to you about, it doesn't even have to be a friend, but like some random person at school that they heard a rumor about, and like let's say somebody's nudes got leaked and they are willing to talk to you about that, like just that empathy development of what do you think that's like for them, and what like
Or sharing about your own experiences as a teenager within like an appropriate limit, right? Because you don't want to make it then like all about your own experiences so that your child then feels like they can't share with you, but being like, when I was your age, like it was really hard because the group that I hung out with, they all were drinking and I felt a lot of pressure. And that then kind of leaves the door open for them to maybe feel like they can ask you questions or that you're a safe person that they can come to.
yeah.
So
Big-
good.
Biggest piece of advice when it comes to the drinking, drugs, sex, all of the hard stuff is to not make it so that when your teen comes to you, that you are having a bigger reaction than they are having. So, for example, if God forbid one of their friends gets like sexually assaulted, you don't want to have this huge reaction where you're like, oh, I can't believe that happened, like it's so horrible. And you want to be like calm and grounded so that they can have the feeling. Because I think one of the things that I hear from teens a lot is like, I can't come to my mom because it's gonna hurt her that I got hurt.
Yeah.
Like if I got bullied or if something happened to me.
I don't want to be a burden on
Yeah,
my
We see that.
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
I don't want to make my parents cry.
yeah.
Mm.
And you're allowed to have your own emotional reaction, but
But
you
no.
need to have people in your life that are
Right.
not your kid to have that reaction with.
So good. I think my biggest fear, I always say this, like when I was doing women's retreats, like that was like the one thing that kept coming up for me is like, because you're sitting, especially with women, you're like sitting in this big circle and everyone's like talking about why they are the way they are. And they're like, oh, because of my mom. Like it's always rooted to the mom somehow, like, oh, my upbringing or how I was raised or blah, 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 blah. And I literally always say, I don't want my daughter sitting in the same circle in 20 years talking about that I messed her up.
Well, I'm obsessed with my mom, so that's the good news.
Okay, great.
I think that I think that's really valid, and like you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're here having these conversations, trying to learn from this and trying to show up for her in the best way that you can is like that's what you have control over and power over. There's going to be things that happened to her in her childhood that had to happen, and those build resiliency and they build your relationship even when it feels like it's challenged.
And I think having self-compassion, right? Because you're human and you are figuring out how to parent each of your children in the ways that they need you to mother them, because all children need different things. And you're not going to be perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make mistakes.
And those
But-
are just opportunities to
Yeah.
learn. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what's important is at the end of the day, like what is the feeling that your daughter walks away with when she thinks about you and your
Mhm.
relationship? Not like the little nitty-gritty day-to-day things. Like what is the feeling?
so I have a question for you. Are you gonna have her listen to this?
She probably will. She does listen to my podcast, and actually her friends follow me like on Instagram. So, and it's weird now that she's on Instagram because now she sees what I post, and so now I almost am a little more conscious about what I post and what I say.
Her friends want to follow you on Instagram.
What was that?
It's a really good
Yes.
sign that her friends want to follow you on Instagram.
I always say, I'm like, look, Addie wants to be my friend. Oh, look, it's always my friend. You know what I mean? So it's and they always like my things, and so I'm like just embracing it. But I also am like, this is what I do. This is like I'm empowering women. I'm inspiring women. Like this is the work that I do, and that she needs to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Totally.
She's been on my podcast actually, probably like 2 years ago. I think I need to get her back on. Maybe after her first like high school experience, like.
Really
Oh,
cool.
I want to listen to that.
Yeah.
I think it was when she was going into middle school, and it was like the conversation of like, how do you feel about it? And every year for their birthdays, I interview them just so I have it. Like I interview both my kids to like, and I ask them different questions.
That's special. Wow.
Yeah, super fun. Okay, so what is the one big piece of advice or takeaway, and maybe it could be one from each of you, that you could give a parent that is raising amazing teenagers?
Oof, one big piece of
Or like
advice.
something that maybe you guys have taught that has really like resonated with people in a
I
good
think
way.
the main thing is like that the teen years are an opportunity for deep, deep connection,
Mm.
not to like I I feel like I've had a lot of parents tell me like I've been in the trenches with my kid, like they're almost off to college, like we just got to get through these years. And I'm always like, no, 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 no. Like this is when their memories are. This is when they develop that like you're cultivating, sorry to use that term, but you're cultivating the like adult relationship that you want to have. And that if you can be really grounded in like relationship and connection with your kid during this time, that is the biggest piece of advice that I can give you.
Hmm.
And I would go back to that kind of like self-compassion piece. I think that parents are really, really hard on themselves. And they don't give themselves a lot of grace. And parenting is fucking hard. It's really, really fucking hard.
Everyone's like, have kids because it's so fun. I'm like, when is it?
Even
Yeah.
know.
We
Yeah.
always
We
do.
joke about that. Like, you don't even know.
But like, I
We
think
just
you
done it.
think.
Yeah.
Right.
in today's world, especially like these are unprecedented times. I mean, there have been unprecedented times before, but like things that we didn't have to deal with or navigate in our own childhood and adolescent experiences. And so I think just like telling yourself that you're doing a good job and that if you're questioning yourself and having a hard time, like you're obviously a good parent, right? Because you're thinking about it and you're reflecting on it. So
And also it's not too late.
yes,
That's
never
that's
too late.
been a question that's been
Yeah.
asked. Like, is it too late to do any of this work? And no, it's
Never
not.
too late.
Like, this is your child, and they're gonna hopefully you'll have a strong adult relationship with them, and so this is the foundation of that.
So good. What's next for you guys? Like, what do you do? Like, what is, I mean, obviously you have your online course, which I'm very interested in. But like, what's next? Like, what's in the horizons for you? Because I feel like this work is never going to go away.
Children on fire.
Yeah.
We are fully taking advantage of summer.
Yeah.
It's so nice to just have the space to work on just the business, because for the last 2 years that we've been working on this, 3 years,
The nights and weekends.
we work full time and then we fit this in.
There's been pregnancies, there's been like
Death.
like so
Everything.
it's been a journey, and I think that I think that we are relishing the fact that we had this idea, and now that idea has turned into a tangible thing that we get to share with other people, and it's like the greatest joy.
Mhm.
And so Caitlyn has like taken it upon herself to learn. We say that she's like coding. She literally built
Codes.
her website, like figured out how
Not
to
only
do it.
did she build a website, but then she redid it.
Yeah, that she
I
redid it.
hated the first one.
Yeah. So right
We always
now,
do.
what we're focusing on is we have our course, and then we've added on this element of the workshops, so the in-person opportunity and the Zoom. And then in terms of our other offerings, we also are offering consultation. So if there are parents who have like really specific needs and want the three of us to kind of sit down with them and go through like the fine details of what's going on with their parenting experience and their teenager, they can book a consultation with us. And then we also are available to provide webinars and parent education nights and opportunities.
And we would love to come to a book club or to a wine night.
Yeah, we're just
we're
trying to spread the word about what we're trying to do and supporting parents so that they can kind of show up to be their best selves and their kids'
enjoy it.
lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And then
know.
we have tons of free resources. So our website has, I think we have 22 now blogs, and they're all focused on like different, they're all by topic, right? So if you're like, I don't know what to do about My teenager feels like a late bloomer. I've heard that. It was all things that we have heard directly from parents that they wanted support on, that we wrote these blogs for.
Or like, I think my teen is neurodivergent, or like, I don't know how to find my kid a therapist, or if I'm at the point where my kid needs a therapist, like step by step, how to
I
do
feel like my kid needs an IEP and I have no idea how to navigate that world. So we have,
my kid is in sports, so how do
and I get really mad on the sidelines and need to figure out how to deal with that. So we have all of these blogs that are 100% free and on our website. And then in addition to those, we've been quoted in a bunch of different articles and have actually written articles for like today's parents about what to do when your teen comes out, or so all of that is on our website. We have one, this isn't exactly what we were talking about with blended families, but like if a step parent, we were in a Newsweek article that like if a step parent gets divorced, but they still want to have a relationship with the kid, like how do you navigate
their
that?
stepchildren? Yeah.
So all of those are available. And then as we talked about earlier, we're coming out with our social media communication guide, which will be for free. You can watch module 1.1, our very first of our 25 modules, on our website for free. So you can get a feel for like, and that one talks about our course and what we offer and all of that.
Wow. I want to do a course that's like in my horizons for my like consulting world. And it just feels like such a big project, but it's like, it's so cool once it's done.
Experience.
Yeah. We learned
Any questions?
so much.
Yes, we learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the work that you're doing. I think it's obviously super important. And I think we all need it in all factors. Like I'm always like, I'm like already like thinking like, okay, who could I connect them to? Like what organizations do this type of work?
We love a connection. And thank you to Amy for connecting us. Big shout out to Amy Ehlers for connecting us.
If anybody needs a house.
Yeah.
You guys asked, they're like, how did you know her? I'm like, well, we used to plan events together and she was my realtor, and highly recommend her for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I feel like we could talk forever. Maybe we'll just have to have you on again.